Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking some about the college football national championship game, which is coming up on Monday night between Alabama and Georgia. If you have any early thoughts or predictions on the game, please feel free to let me know. I know I said this back during the finale of the SEC championship game when Georgia lost to Alabama, and I'll say it again. For all you Georgia fans out there, you better hope that Georgia wins this game, because if not, one day next week I'm going to have some fun at the expense of the Georgia Bulldogs here on the channel. But for now, let's just go ahead and preview a little bit about the game coming up on Monday night. A lot of people are saying it's a must-win game for Georgia, and I don't understand that at all. Maybe the term must-win has changed since I was growing up, or maybe it's being overused, like in the world of NBA. People want to claim that every good player is a superstar, and the word superstar gets overused big time, because I always thought a must-win game meant if you didn't win, something was going to change. I mean, yeah, Georgia needs to win, but it's not a must-win game. Must-win or what? The coach is not getting fired. The AD is not getting fired, so I don't really understand how it can be a must-win game for Georgia. Now, if you look at Stetson Bennett, and this is not a bash Stetson Bennett conversation, it's just talking about Stetson Bennett's numbers. Overall, they're pretty good. But in his two starts against Alabama, he's thrown 5 interceptions. He threw 2 earlier this year, and then he threw 3 when he played Alabama last year. So for whatever reason, Stetson Bennett has struggled big time against Alabama. So Georgia will definitely need him to step up in the game coming up on Monday night. And if you look at the last 4 times these two teams have played, which dates back to the 2017 National Championship game, the last 4 times these two teams have played, Georgia has not scored more than 7 points in the entire second half. Now, why their offense has struggled against Alabama every time in the second half, I don't know. But I'll go ahead now and make a prediction that if Georgia only scores 7 points or less again Monday night, that they will get beat. Now, if you look, Georgia overall is the better team, but now Alabama has the better quarterback. And, of course, Georgia's weakness is their secondary, which Alabama definitely exploited that when they played each other in the conference championship game. So if Bryce Young gets time, as good as he is, he will find some open receivers again. But outside of the quarterback position, I think every other position on the field except for the secondary, I think Georgia is better than Alabama. So Georgia should win the game, and I think Nick Saban obviously is a better head coach than Kirby Smart. But the game shouldn't come down to a coaching decision. It shouldn't be that close. Now, woulda, coulda, shouldas ain't going to matter when game time comes around. I'm just giving my thoughts and my prediction. But Nick Saban's a better coach than Kirby Smart, because Nick Saban has modernized himself. I know he's 70 years old, and he was always a defensive-minded coach. But Nick Saban himself, after the 2020 conference championship game, when Alabama beat Georgia, and Georgia supposedly had that phenomenal, great defense, and Alabama went up and down the field on them. After the game, Nick Saban himself said, "I understand that college football has changed. Nowadays, defense only does you so much. If you don't have a great offense, you're not winning anything." Now, see, Nick Saban could have easily been stubborn and hard-headed and not modernized himself and still try to live and breathe by the defense. But he realized that doesn't work anymore. Now, if your offense can't score when it matters, your defense doesn't matter, and that's what makes Nick Saban so good. I hate to say it, I'm not a Saban fan, and nobody outside of Bama fans is a Saban fan. But you got to give the guy credit for modernizing himself and becoming up to date, even though he is an old school defensive-minded coach. This will be his 10th national championship game appearance, and of course he's won 7 and lost 2, and both his losses came to the same team, Clemson. Nobody else has ever beaten Nick Saban in a national championship game. But I do think that changes Monday night. I do think Georgia will win this game. And a lot of people are saying that they don't want Georgia to win, especially here in the South, whether they're a Florida fan or a Clemson fan or a Georgia Tech fan. Any local team are saying that they don't want Georgia to win because of the fact, supposedly, they think it's going to make Georgia even more dominating in recruiting. Years ago, I would say, yes, that's true, but nowadays that doesn't mean a hill of beans. First of all, Georgia is already top 2 or 3 in recruiting, so even if they win, it can't help them much. You can only have so many players. You're only allowed to have so many players. So it's not like they're going to go from 3rd in recruiting to go to 1st in recruiting by a long shot. You can't. You still, whether you win or not, you're only allowed to have so many players. So it's not like Georgia's 15th right now in recruiting, and winning one is going to make them go to 1st. They're 2nd or 3rd, no matter what recruiting rankings you look at, almost every single year. Plus, this day and time recruiting doesn't mean much. I mean, let's look at Texas A&M. They have the number 1 recruiting class in America by a long shot, and what have they done? Absolutely nothing. So it's not like just because you have the number 1 recruiting class means you're going to win the national championship, because obviously it doesn't. Texas A&M ran off Kevin Sumlin. Now, he didn't have the recruiting class that Jimbo Fisher has coming up, but he still finished almost top 10 in recruiting every single year, and A&M was consistently about an 8-win team. And now Jimbo Fisher's there, and they're doing even better in recruiting, and they're consistently about a 8-4, 9-3 team. That's what they are. They ain't proven anything to anybody at any time in the last 50 years, but they're still getting players. So it's not like if Georgia wins Monday night, their recruiting is going to take off. It's already taken off. They can't do much better. But a lot of people still live in the 70s and 80s where they think that recruiting really matters. And it does matter to a certain extent, don't get me wrong. But Georgia is still getting the majority of the players in this area, even without winning one. So if they win one, it's not going to change a whole lot. So I really don't think recruiting is going to change a whole lot, whether they win one or not. Georgia has never had a problem recruiting players. They've never had a problem getting players. They just have a problem with winning when the players get on the field. But I do think that changes Monday night. I'll pick Georgia in this game. I just think Georgia is the better team. Now, Georgia better have a plan on defense, because the first time these two teams played this year, Alabama did not allow Georgia to substitute, and that's what destroyed Georgia on defense, because Jordan Davis was a liability because he couldn't get off the field, and he's just too big. I mean, whether you like the guy or not, common sense tells you you can have the sense of a billy goat, and you know that a 400-pound man, when he's running plays that hard, that fast, that often, after about a minute or so, he's not any good. And if he can't get off the field, he's just a liability. So Georgia better have some kind of a plan on defense to get Jordan Davis off the field, and I hope it's not faking injuries. I hate seeing that, but they better have some kind of a plan. And for all you college football fans out there, don't worry. Even after this game Monday night, no matter who wins and who loses, I'm still going to have a few more college football topics that I'm going to discuss, and I'll disperse those whenever I feel like it's time to discuss college football during the off season. I won't do one too often, but I will occasionally get on here and have a college football topic even during the off season to give us something to talk about as we head into the 2022 college football season. Again, any early thoughts on who you think will win the game Monday night, please feel free to let me know. I'll go with Georgia, and I'll say the final score is going to be somewhere along the lines of, because Alabama's going to score. I mean, let's be honest. Georgia couldn't stop them the first time, so let's not pretend like they're going to play Monday night and Bama's going to score 14 points. That's not so. Alabama is going to score. So if you're going to pick Georgia, you have to be realistic and at least understand and expect Alabama to score, because they will. So if you think Georgia's going to score 21 points and win, I think you're crazy. I just don't see that happening. So I'll pick Georgia, and I'll say it's going to be something like Georgia 34, Alabama 28, somewhere along those lines. I do think if Georgia doesn't score at least 24, I think they'll lose. Maybe I'll be wrong, but of course, if you're a Georgia fan, you don't care if you win 2-0 or if you win 56-49, as long as you win the game. But I'll pick Georgia somewhere along 34-28, 34-31, 31-28, somewhere along in there. So please feel free to give me your thoughts and your opinion on the game coming up on Monday night. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What do you call a nearsighted cowboy? Squint Eastwood. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.